Hi, this is Stephen, and this is Astro Indicator Update, Excursions into Practical Astrology, and today is Monday, May 25th. So this is going to be a shorter video, hopefully, than I normally do. We won't be looking at any politicians or, horoscopes today, just concentrating on several markets. The markets that I usually look at are the Dow Jones Industrials, gold, silver, Bitcoin, and today Ethereum and the US dollar. I'll also include some gold seasonal charts because I think that they are related to the astrology of gold this year. At least that's what it appears to be. So our first chart today is the Dow Jones Industrials. This is in the US, this is a holiday, so the Dow Jones is not trading. The futures market is up a couple hundred points, though. We'll take that into consideration. Now, for those who've never seen any of my videos, just a quick overview. I combine the astrology of a specific market with traditional technical analysis and also include the context, the fundamentals of the market as well. All the horizontal lines you see here are support, resistance, long-term trend lines that I've drawn in, these lines. Down here, momentum indicators, RSI, MACD. This, I'm using a proxy, an ETF for the Dow Jones, DIA, but the chart pattern is exactly the same. The vertical lines, though, are astrological dates that I think something significant could happen in this particular market. It could be an inflection point, turning point, the market energized in some fashion. And when I include the technicals with the astrology, I get a better idea of what the market may do. For example, last week I did the video on the 17th, and that was a Sunday, and I knew that there was a very strong astrology date occurring. I wasn't sure if it was absolutely sure if it was going to extend into Monday. It did, and the market popped from this point. Let's see if I can draw this in. It popped from here, up to here. And I didn't do a great job drawing that in, but you kind of get my point here. So it jumped, and that was the day it went up like 800 points. Okay. So since then, we've just been trading sideways. We've got a bounce today. Will probably take us up to that resistance level when we get into trading tomorrow. However, we don't have a lot of astrology getting up to June 5th. So we will just see if this strong astrology date a week ago is going to have energy enough to carry us through this resistance level, that resistance level right there. I suspect not. We are getting into, I didn't do the seasonals for the Dow Jones in this video, but we're getting to a slower period. The old adage in trading is, sell in May and go away, and wait until, the fall, essentially. We've been basically trading sideways for some time, and this last very bullish date is the last one for a while. When we get into June 5th, I'm looking at my notes. I mean, there's some astrology happening. It's not exceptionally bullish, and I don't see anything exceptionally bullish in the Dow Jones, actually, for a number of months. So we lean on the technicals when that's the case, and so we'll just have to see if tomorrow's trading takes out this resistance level. We do have a channel that's formed here. I think this green line is a very important support level. If we fall beneath it, I'm going to continue drawing it out. If we fall beneath it, I think we're headed lower, at least to this 50-day moving average. So the astrology doesn't support higher prices. We'll see if this, I mean, we're getting, the further away we get away from this May 17th date, the weaker this market is going to get. Okay, so let's move on. Let's look at gold. Well, gold isn't overbought. We're trading kind of in a neutral zone. We had a triangle formation was created for a couple weeks. We broke out of that. Now we're in sort of a wedge, a downward moving wedge formation. We are trading down today, 10 points or so. And let's take a look at the astrology here, and then we'll get into the seasonals on gold, because we may be running out of gas a little bit in the gold market, which, even though we have extremely bullish fundamentals, and we're not, overbought, we may just end up trading sideways for a while here. Excuse me, I have allergies at this time of year. So on the 28th, the 27th and 28th, which is end of this week, essentially, something is potentially, we have some bullish energy on these two dates, on the 28th. But when we get to June 1st, which is this line right there, historically that line is kind of bearish, okay, that energy. And I've been studying this for 25 years, and so I've seen it over and over again. So June 1st, you need to mark on your calendar. I think June 1st is a Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it is a Monday. So circle your calendar. We'll look at this support level that's continuing here. Hopefully we'll stay above that support level. But the astrology is not indicating a big bounce until July, okay? And it might not happen until mid-July, possibly July 9th, but more like the 12th, 13th, and 14th. I haven't even drawn those in. So gold traders, you might be looking at some potential buying dips coming up in the month of June. Things look better in July. I don't see us moving up, though. So, take that into consideration using your own the strategies and methods and analysis. But let's look at the seasonals, because I see us kind of hitting a lull period in June. And let's look at some seasonal charts here. So this isn't the clearest chart in the world, but we can get into it. Thank you, Zeal LLC, for your chart. They indicate points in the year where they think going long are advisable periods, okay? We're May, June, July down here at the bottom. We're at the end of May right now. They see in their seasonal index, going back, I think, 18 years or so, that often there is a dip in June. This is the month of June where my cursor is. A dip into June, a dip into July, and then in this seasonal end of August is a good time to buy. On average, a 9% pop, okay, in their estimation. Let's look at another seasonal chart here. So this one is graphing a 5-year average, 10, 20, 45-year average for gold. Now, the last 9 years or so in gold, we have been sort of in a downtrend, but that has not been true, over the last 9 months or so. So I let's just don't take this red chart into consideration. because that's mostly just looking at the 5-year average. Let's look at some of these other averages. And when we do, we see, again, we're down here in June. We come up, and actually we kind of see, in this, we see maybe a little pop at June. And then in earlier part of that month, we start trailing downwards until we get into July. So if we look at the graphs, these lower graphs, all of them from 10 years to 45 years, seasonally, June is not a great month for gold. And my point here is that this year, the astrology seems to be aligned with this forecast. And then in July, again, the astrology is very much aligned with the seasonals, with a big, rally, big bullish move from that point on. We'll have to see, but that's just the way I see it. That's my take on the situation, and this is not trading advice, but you have to, follow your own methods. So let's move on. Here's silver. Silver seems to be trading in kind of a tight channel. We had a big bullish move. Again, if you go back to my videos going back into early May, to me this was a very bullish sign. It didn't kick into gear for a few days because it did have a number of resistance levels to move through. But the momentum picked up from that energy, and this is where we're at right now. Now, sometimes gold follows silver, and sometimes silver follows gold. In the silver market, now this is a big qualifier, okay? In the silver market, we have more bullish things taking place. We'll see how this plays out. So we have something on the 27th, which is Wednesday. But June 3rd, there's a very strong date coming up. June 3rd. It's this line right here. Now I see gold maybe heading south June 1st. And June 3rd, though, is a strong, at the minimum, volatility day for silver. Potentially, gold could have a bad couple days. Silver could follow suit. But then June 3rd rolls around, and possibly, a bounce happening in the silver market, which may stabilize things in gold. We'll see how it plays out. But in general, even though silver has more astrology energy happening through the month of June, it too is much more bullish when we get into July. So we don't see it. This is June. The big blank spot out here is mostly not much happening in June. If you're just going to concentrate on the technicals, concentrate on this channel that seems to be forming. We've got a big gap, not necessarily a gap, but we have not a lot of support underneath us. However, the fundamentals, with all the print money the Fed is printing, the fundamentals are tremendous in precious metals. So any dips that you see could very well be buying opportunities here. So take that into consideration. So that's silver. Let's move on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin seems to be in a, I've drawn sort of a large triangle sideways trading pattern. We had a classic, I wasn't really sure whether this was going to be a bounce up or down, but a strong volatility day yesterday. The big red candle that you see here, it drove us down. We have come down to a support level, okay? See, I've drawn in the bottoms here and extended them. We've come down to a support level not too far away from the 50-day moving average. We're definitely not, overbought. We're getting, lower in the momentum indicators. We're oversold on a 2-hour chart. So what's coming up astrologically? Well, let's see. The 29th is Friday. And so, we've got, hopefully we're going to be trading sideways in Bitcoin. Friday is, fairly strong bullish day for Bitcoin. A lot of volatility kicks in when we get out here to June 10th. And oddly enough, July also is very strong, in a much more bullish month for Bitcoin as well. So we're in a situation where we could just be trading up and down for a while in Bitcoin. But let's, watch these support resistance areas. Mark your calendars. The 29th is a Friday. June 10th out here, this date also is a very key date. Rare, happens every 2 years, so we're going to see something happen out here. If we're very oversold, for example, I would see us bouncing. If we're very overbought, we may be seeing a pullback. So anyway, that's how I use this. Bitcoin, let's look at Ethereum, because just like gold and silver, these two markets interact. There's a dynamic between them. Today, we've sort of broken below this pretty long-term trend line. We may be forming what is called a bullish wedge formation, repeatedly testing this horizontal resistance area. Excuse me again. So let me look at my notes for a second. Well, Ethereum also has something coming up today. Well, that's interesting. Is that right? Did I draw this incorrectly? Excuse me. Yeah, it's not the strongest bullish energy. I drew it in there. Sometimes it's hard to give them values. But overall, again, we're moving into June, out in here to June 6th or so. And we may be having something happen. But, again, I think there's more of a potential just to trade sideways in these markets than there is to see a lot of price action. And that's sort of the long and short of it. And so let's finish up and look at the US dollar. If I can find it. And let's see. So, given all the money printing that we're having by the Fed, trillions and trillions of dollars, this market, I've said this before, is staying somewhat buoyant just because it is stronger relative to other currencies just at the moment. But the money supply factor is going to catch up with the US dollar, at a certain point. Having said that, we do have 2 dates coming up, just one in a couple days, the 27th, and then in early June, June 2nd, which is a Tuesday, which is actually quite a bullish day. So we'll see how this holds up. I don't see the dollar tanking. But the interesting point here is that June 1st, June 2nd are days where the gold market could possibly drop. And it just turns out the astrology in the dollar are days when there's a good chance that the dollar could be rising, going higher. And that relationship between the dollar and gold is one which is often an inverse relationship, as I just described. So, we'll just see how it plays out, but the astrology kind of supports that historical relationship over the next 10 days or so. So that's it for today. No horoscopes. If you have a suggestion for looking at someone's chart, or if you want me to do an update, write it in the comments section. I have been researching financial astrology for 25 years. I have a master's in psychology. I am a hard money, precious metal, cryptocurrency advocate. This is my email. I accept donations. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. I don't do these, maybe on a once a week basis, but if you would like to be notified, consider subscribing. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching or listening, and I'll probably be back in a week.